Welcome to another episode of The Capital Contribution. I'm your host, Yuri, and today we got an extremely unique episode for you. We are live at Meximodo in Metuchen, New Jersey with the one and only Carlos Ruiz. Carlos is an incredible entrepreneur. He's got a phenomenal story, and we're going to share that with you today, interject some interesting business concepts, and hopefully teach you something. So, I'm turning it over to you, Carlos. Tell us a little bit about your story, but before we jump into that, why don't you tell us about the drink you're going to make?
Fantastic. So let's make a, we're going to be making a chicha spritz. Basically a really, really easy cocktail using MiraFlores chicha morada. Now this is my product, and we're going to be talking about it later on, but it's made from purple corn, pineapple, cinnamon, clove, a little bit of sugar. So we're going to be adding this into our cup.
Incredible.
Yeah, man. And look at that beautiful color from the purple corn. It's fantastic.
Made out of purple corn?
Yeah, made out of purple corn. Just gonna add a little bit of ice. And this is an easy cocktail that you could do at home. Nothing crazy, 2 ingredients. So the final ingredient is just your favorite Prosecco.
Very nice.
We're gonna top it off lightly.
It's kind of like an Aperol spritz, a little bit.
100%, yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So it's easy on the palate.
Awesome. I like the fall colors to it too.
Yeah, man.
Very nice.
All right, and for garnish, we're just gonna throw a little bit of cinnamon right in there.
I like that. A holiday special.
There you go.
Hey, awesome.
Here you go, man.
Awesome.
All right.
Cheers.
Salud.
Again.
Thank you.
Salud. Thanks for coming out to the show.
Oh yeah.
That's incredible. Very refreshing.
Yeah, man. Although the fall flavors really come out.
Yeah, indeed. So while we're having that and enjoying that, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story? How did you get into the world of bartending? How did you get into the business of consulting? Take us from the beginning.
Of course, yeah. So at the age of 18, well, I guess we could go back a little further. At the age of 14, I got a job at a pizzeria in Bamberg. And, I kind of worked all the positions, dishwasher, I did a little bit of cooking, then waiter, busboy, and then started making pizzas. But, it was becoming a little bit too, it sounds weird because I was, 14, 15, but I was working during summer, maybe 90 hours a week. And I loved it for a while, for 3 years, but then I wanted to find something different. So I went on Craigslist and I wrote in there, fine dining places that are hiring.
Wow.
So the first one that came up was the Ryland Inn and White House Station. So I was like, okay, fantastic. Let me just throw in my resume, which I hadn't had a resume before. Yeah. So I put something together. I completely lied on some of the parts on the resume just because they were asking if I had experience in fine dining. So I started just, went on Google and looked up best restaurants in New Jersey. So I just kind of was like, oh, I used to work here and here.
Oh, you went all the way in.
Oh, yeah, I went all the way in. Well, I got a call back for an interview, and the GM at the time, he just saw through that bullcrap real quick.
Wow.
But, he ended up giving me an opportunity, so he hired me as a busboy.
Oh, wow.
So I just kind of...
He saw through it. I got to dwell on that for a second. Yeah. He saw through that bullshit, and he still was like, all right, man, I like that hustle.
Yeah, there you go, man. So he gave me the job as a busboy, and then, fast forward a few months, I started seeing, all these amazing cocktails and concoctions that were just coming out of the bar. Yeah. And then also the back bar was just beautiful and, just amazing. So I started getting intrigued about the cocktail world. So basically, I reached out to the bar manager. I asked him if he could teach me how to bartend. Yeah. And, eventually, there was a bunch of no's in the beginning, but eventually they let me behind the bar. And that's how everything started for me at the age of 18, behind the bar. And then fast forward until now, wow. Having a bar consulting company, a marketing company, and now this MiraFlores chicha morada liqueur. Wow. Yeah, so it's been a journey.
Yeah, it's all an evolution. Now, when you were starting there at the Ryland Inn, and as you were getting to that, bartender, honing your skills, were you doing something else? Did you have another job as well? Was this a side hustle, or was that everything you were doing?
Yeah, everything I was doing. I literally fell in love with the craft. This is all I wanted to do. That's it. Something with alcohol.
That's incredible. Yeah. And where did you get your ideas about the marketing concepts, right? Because a lot of people are out there making drinks, a lot of bars out there, a lot of things. How did you differentiate yourself? What was your approach to marketing your brand?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, we have a phone, so I just started recording videos. But obviously, it's not just recording just a video just to record a video. You really gotta, what are you giving to the audience that they're looking at? And my passion just was making cocktails and giving people recipes. So, it was, to me, it just sounded easy to do it, but obviously it takes a lot of time to edit, and that's tough. That's tough. Yeah,
I've experienced it myself. I'm making some content for my own stuff. Look, this world of making cocktail drinks and food and entertainment and hospitality is interesting, fascinating. People are intrigued by it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, nobody's intrigued by CPA things. So to make it different, to make it interesting, for me, it takes a lot of thought doing stuff like this, and also getting creative with the editing and doing something a little bit different than everybody is getting their hands on. But some of the most intriguing thing to me, I actually secretly, honestly, been dying to be behind the bar like this and talking to people because I just enjoy doing it. I've been wanting to do something like that for like a night or two just to try it out because I'm intrigued by it. But for you, do you have any interesting or unique stories of interactions or from your own journey, or something unique that you would share about just being behind the bar?
Yeah, I mean, being behind the bar and meeting people just from everywhere, it is really interesting how the customer is so open to a bartender. I mean, we see them here and there, and they come in and they just divulge everything onto you. So it's kind of interesting. I guess we're like the therapists behind the bar.
That's actually true.
Craziest stories. I don't want to dive in too much of those stories, but I will tell you, they went from PG to very X-rated conversations real quick.
I'm sure you gotta just be like, yeah, all right.
There you go. You just shake and smile, shake and smile.
Shake and smile. What about, take me through the journey. So as you're learning, right, the craft, as you're honing your skills, as you are expanding your knowledge, then there comes a time when now you're doing the consulting, right? So now you're taking your knowledge and you're teaching it right onto other folks behind the bar.
Correct, yeah.
What is your approach to teaching them? Because it's something, it's difficult. Everybody can make a drink. A lot of people can make your basic drink. But how do you teach someone the craft to be somewhat as close to you as possible?
I mean, everybody has their own unique style, but when creating cocktails, you could get inspired by movies, pop culture, or literally music, anything, food. So I just tell them to get creative on their own experiences. So if they had their best dish, they went to this fancy restaurant or not a fancy restaurant,
right,
and they love this dish. How can they make that dish into a liquid form? Because if those flavors already tasting well as a solid, it could also taste well as a liquid form. So you just kind of have to figure out and navigate that. But it's kind of cool once you're able to create the cocktail out of that specific inspiration that you had.
Yeah.
It takes a while sometimes, but
it's a craft. It's a craft, much like anything else. I think it's fascinating. Obviously, the cocktail creation as a customer, right? I've never been behind the bar. I sit there and I view it. I look at the menu, and sometimes it's hard to match up the contents of what you think is going to taste like to what it actually ends up tasting like. Is that something that you kind of struggle with, or that's something as you were going up the kind of world of learning about the bartending world? Is that something that you had to learn? How do you learn this craft? Is really what.
Yeah, I mean, it's just trial and error. Just keep creating as much. If you think your idea is going to work, just keep trying and try to perfect it. But sometimes, it just does not work. So at that point, you just have to look for different avenues on creating a different cocktail. But it's just trial and error, and keep trying, and that's about it. You'll find the perfect recipe.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I also saw online, I was kind of researching you and your history. You've done a lot of competitions.
Yes.
Right? Now, how did you get involved in something like that? And is it usually one drink competition or multiple drinks? Yeah,
so I guess it changes between the competition, so it could be multiple rounds or just one cocktail win it all sort of thing. But I remember having this question when I was 18. I was trying to figure out, how do these bartenders go to these competitions or even hear about it? So basically, I didn't know who to ask, so I just went on Google and I asked Google. And then they had like some competitions that were sponsored by different brands. But later in my career, you know, if a bartender wants to compete, talk to your distributors, your suppliers, people that are, you know, selling you the alcohol. They always know what's going on because of you know, the connection with the brands. They're selling the product, so that's a great way to find out and get into competitions. But they're addicting, man. I love them. Yeah, they're so much fun. Apart from like losing, winning, just meeting the people and then getting new ideas from everybody else. So that's a big thing why I like them.
Yeah, interesting. And what was your favorite competition out of them all? What was the favorite drink that you've done in them?
Favorite competition, I have to say the Iron Shaker competition. So I've done a bunch out of New Jersey, but you know, New Jersey being home base, Iron Shaker was created by Breakthrough Beverage or Allied Beverage. Okay. And it was just, you know, battle of the bartenders between everybody here in New Jersey that wanted to compete. And I just had a blast with that, man. There was this part of the competition where it was the people's vote. So basically it was different stations and everybody just had to shake up cocktails and then everybody would just come in like lines. I mean, just people having fun listening to music and they're trying the cocktails and then they vote at the end. But it's just a good time, you know, loud music, cocktails are flowing, everybody's smiling, nobody's having a bad time. And I think that's like, to me, that's my addiction because I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I feel like there's something unique about it too. You know, when you're in it and everybody's around you having a good time and you're shaking it up, you're making it an even better time for them. That's incredible. Let me ask you this: when you were getting started, right? You know, 0 followers, 100 followers, whatever you had on social media. Because what happens, you know, you start on social media, you get 100, you know, followers from all your friends. But you got to build the brand and you got to build the marketing and all that. As you were getting started doing that, what did you find helped you grow your brand via social media? Is it consistency, or was it also meeting with the right people and partnering up with you?
Yeah, I guess everybody's journey in social media is completely different, but with mine was, I started posting a long time ago, but nothing really happened. Yeah. But it's because I was inconsistent, you know. I was posting maybe once a week or once a month. Like, there was no strategy to it. Yeah. And then, you know, I'm sure like everybody, like during COVID, when everybody had a lot of time, I just had more time to edit videos and do some funny things online. I mean, you saw everybody was doing funny things online during COVID. But what really took my social media to the next level was when I started doing dancing cocktails. You know, just basically listening to music, dancing a little bit, and making a cocktail at the same time. And I love dancing. I dance every day at the house.
That's awesome.
You know, I just love music, and combining my love for music with my love of making cocktails and dancing, it was like the perfect cocktail for, you know, for a bit. It was like pretty cool to see everybody's reaction.
That's awesome. I also saw online you were, maybe still are, a brand ambassador for Johnny Walker. Right?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. Yeah,
so
not anymore.
Before you were.
Yes, I was.
Right?
That was.
How did you get into that? How did that start?
That was through social media.
Wow,
they reached
really?
out through Instagram. I believe it was one of the marketing companies that was working with Johnny Walker. They reached out through Instagram, and we had a conversation. They were like, "Hey, we want to do these, you know, for Hispanic Heritage Month. They wanted to do a campaign.
Oh, okay.
So we did some videos, and then we did some cocktail recipes. But I had a blast.
Yeah,
that was awesome. A fun time.
What does that involve? Like, you just making the content for them? Do you go like specifically to their places? Like,
no. So basically, what they did was, it wasn't like a full brand ambassador of the brand. It was more of a brand ambassador like on social media in a sense.
I see. Okay, got it.
So they took me to their headquarters in New York, and I did like a Johnny Walker lesson, you know. So everybody would learn what is Johnny Walker. So just a little bit of information. Then I created cocktails for them, and then we shot a few videos for social. That it was like more about like, what is Johnny Walker? How do you drink Johnny Walker? What's your favorite expression? But that was a fun time, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. One of the other things I wanted to ask you about too is when it comes to brand development, growing your viewership and and also getting more business. How did you go about, and like maybe share a success story that you feel is the most fond in your memory of how you got to where you are today, you know, as your journey goes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, I love to just put myself out there. So if, you know, one advice I would say is just put yourself out there. The worst thing people are going to say is no. So I kept just throwing a lot of stuff on the wall until somebody said finally yes and gave me an opportunity to just work on a menu and you know, and build the brand like that. But I don't really promote the bar consulting as much on social media. This is more like word to mouth.
Right.
Because I feel like that's the best clients. You know, it's you've done some prior work, and then you move on to the next one. You move on to the next one. Then eventually, it's slow, but it's it'll get to a big buildup at the end.
That is actually fascinating you said that, because I believe in the same thing on my end of things. Like for me, the best clientele is the referrals, the word of mouth. Not so much somebody coming into me from social media saying, hey, I saw your video about blah, 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 and I want to hire you. It's more like, hey, this guy told me that you do a good job. So, you know, I want to talk to you and I want to hire you. Because a lot of times when that comes around, then price point does not really become an issue anymore. People are not like, oh, well, what's your price? And there's not as much friction on that part. It's like, hey, Meximodo recommended Carlos to you. Hey, can you do it for us too? Or whoever it is, you know? And then it's really like, okay, yeah, I'll do it for you. And then you just get right to work.
Yeah, man, it's the best.
Yeah, it's incredible. I did hear through the grapevine some story about an ice luge. Is that a thing? Can we get that story?
Yeah. So we had a table that basically they were having a great time and they were drinking some great tequilas. And since I think it was the second day of opening the restaurant, we had an ice luge outside. Okay. So they decided to go with a nice tequila and just throw it down the.
Oh no.
Yeah, but they were just having fun.
Well, yeah.
Which was awesome because I just. You know, when people are having fun, I'm having fun, so it was just a blast. Yeah. It's a complete blast.
I'm thriving off of that.
Yeah, man.
It's pretty cool. Was that a local, like a New Jersey restaurant that was doing that?
Yeah, New Jersey restaurant,
It's pretty cool. It's always cool when you get that experience and you people really just letting loose and having a good time.
Of course, I mean, that's all it is.
What about talking about a challenge that you maybe still incur or still experience? What would you say one of the challenges are in your business, and how do you try your best to kind of get around that, or you know?
Challenge is becoming now like the cocktail recipes, man.
Yeah, really.
Kind of figuring, you know, getting some new ideas, some new techniques, what it's gonna really, you know, go to the next level. Specifically because, you know, some clients want what they want, so being able to like really get that.
Take that.
So, but yeah, man, I think that's the tough part. Because I've done so many cocktails already, and you know. You gotta keep creating, I guess.
Yeah.
That's the fun part, though. It's the hard part, but also as soon as you come up with something just awesome that you see right in front of you, like, great, let's keep it going.
Where's the inspiration come from?
For me, mostly food. Food? Yeah, food and music. But so with food, like I said before, you know, if it looks and it tastes good in a solid form, how come you can't try to figure it out to make it into a liquid form? 100%. And that just, I love that. So any dish I try, in my head, I'm like, all right, so what ingredients can I mix with, like, and throw in some alcohol? Yeah, I'm always thinking on there when I'm going out.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Let me ask you about when you're doing, like, I'm going to think of a specific food. I'm actually curious if you could work with it, because one of my favorite foods is ceviche. Right? I love me a good ceviche that's got all like that citrusy and it's incredibly delicious and so good as like an appetizer. If I told you, you know, get some inspiration off of ceviche. What would you think of? Like, what would be good crossing your mind as a creator of drinks?
Yeah, I mean, automatically when you think ceviche, you know that it has a fish or some seafood, and it's cooked with the citrus, with the lime. Yeah. So obviously, I mean, you can put some fish in a cocktail. But for this case, maybe just grab the bright flavors. So the lime juice, the olive oil that's in there, you could use that in the cocktail. The salt, the pepper, the sesame oil that you put in there. But just bright, fresh flavors, and then maybe cucumber to make it a little bit more brighter. Just clean flavors, and then that's how you could start creating like the cocktail. But then if you want something utilizing all the ingredients, my head automatically went to like Bloody Marys. So with Bloody Marys, you get tomato juice, all your seasonings, and then with the ceviche, the bottom part is called leche de tigre. So leche de tigre is lime, salt, pepper, clam juice, and they basically blend the fish, and it's basically, it's delicious. I love it. But if you think about it, you could cut those ingredients down, not make it as chunky, and put it as a shooter, like an oyster shooter sort of thing.
That's brilliant.
So now you're getting into that realm of like the culinary. Doesn't necessarily need to be like a crazy change the flavor profile of ceviche. You want that leche de tigre to come out. So then you kind of have to pick which, is it a vodka the right move? Is it gin the right move? Tequila? I think like gin would be perfect. With all those botanicals, the gin with the leche de tigre shooter on the side.
I was actually wondering, would it be the vodka, like a usual, shooter, like sometimes that I've had, or would it be like a tequila? Or like a mezcal if you really want to bring out, although I don't know, would that overpower it?
I mean, we have to try it one day.
We got to try one.
It sounded good, but I don't know how to make it.
We're gonna do another cheers on this one, and on this one I wanted to ask another question and kind of layer it in together as we do the cheers to kind of bring it up to your mind. When you're dealing with new restaurants, as you approach them, as you're getting out your brand and dealing with different people in the industry, so on and so forth, how do you work around navigating the different personalities that are in the industry of hospitality? Cheers. Cheers, man.
Honestly, I don't know. I guess I'm a people person, so I just, even if my whole thing is, even if you're not having a good day and we still have the meeting, I'm gonna come in happy as hell and try to make your day better, even though we're having a meeting. But that's just my personality, and I feel like it helps when navigating with different personalities in the industry. So I guess it's helped a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I can relate to that. The reason I asked that is because on my side, like all I do is deal with the different personalities, different people, people that are more worried about certain things, less worried about certain things, and to me, I always find that, like you said, being a people person helps a lot, because a lot of times I can kind of feel like, okay, like, this person might be like this or like that, and so you kind of adjust yourself to that. I'm gonna, kind of try to, as we wrap this up a little bit.
Sure.
I'm just kind of thinking to myself, maybe, maybe do another cheers, and then kind of talk about on the business side of things, and specifically financial side of things. One of the interesting things are, and I actually want to bring that up as well, the MiraFlores. I almost forgot to bring that up, actually. The MiraFlores. This is one of the unique parts also of what you do, and to develop that brand, to build it up. I think you said 6 years it took to put together. Tell me about the story and the journey of that. Tell me about the development of MiraFlores.
Sure, yeah. So I've been making chicha morada. Well, my family has been making chicha morada for like forever, but every Peruvian family has made it forever in Peru. And chicha morada has been around since like the Incan Empire, and basically it's a juice, blend of different fruits in there, but the purple corn is what gives it that nice purple color. So fast forward into when I started getting into the bar world, the bar manager had a chicha morada cocktail on there, and when I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. They're using, a Peruvian staple. But I didn't really think too much of it. And then later on, as time passed, I remember that I always make chicha morada at home because I just drink it. And then I was like, I feel like this would be the perfect thing to have behind the bar, to be like your perfect mixer or for something. And then the seed, was there. I started thinking, and it kind of grew into this obsession of like, all right, I really want to make something out of it, but I don't know if I want to do like a cocktail mixer, do a spirit, a liqueur. I mean, I had too many ideas, which is why it took so long, because my brain was just like going all over the place, but I couldn't make a decision. So that was the tough part. But then fast forward, I really sat down, my wife and I talked, and then also my sister-in-law, which is, us three, we own the company. but it was kind of just, all right, we need to really figure it out. How can we bottle it? So we started making calls. Okay, talking to a distillery, talking to the manufacturers of the bottles, the boxes, the the little plastic up top, the label, the marketing company. So it started getting overwhelming, but any business is overwhelming in the beginning. Like I didn't know what I was doing, and I still feel that in a way. But you learn as you go, and I feel like people will really get to enjoy this product once they try it. So purple corn, cinnamon, clove, pineapple, and green apples. I describe it as Christmas on the beach.
Interesting.
Super delicious. You could mix it. You could drink it by itself, and then if you add a squeeze of lime, you're gonna get more of that green apple and pineapple to bring it to summer days.
Really interesting stuff. I think one of the most unique parts about what you're doing now, brand development, developing a completely unique design of a bottle and a product, is one of the most fascinating things. Now that you've designed it, and it took so long, 6 years like you said, what would you say is your strategy of now going to the liquor stores or to the restaurants? This is one of the most challenging parts for entrepreneurs like yourself. What is your strategy? How do you go about it to distribute it?
Yeah, so being in the industry for so long, I've seen so many brands do it many different ways, and I felt like the one that really gravitated towards me, it's more of a, brands are built on premise, so meaning brands are built at the restaurants, and then people are going to start seeing it at the restaurants, so then they're going to tell their liquor stores. So basically that's how I want the flow to go. It's going to take a little longer, but I feel like people will get connected with the brand, especially if they're going to a bar, and then once they pick it up at home, it's a done deal.
It's a done deal.
But also what I do is, I'll go knocking on every single door, every restaurant, every liquor store, to see if they want to bring it in. The worst thing they could say is no, and I'll just keep moving to the next place. Like, never let that discourage you. Just keep going and going.
I love it. I think that's one of the most important things that we should, kind of focus on as entrepreneurs. It's iterations, which is what you've done to get to the point of this beautiful bottle and this beautiful product. And on top of that, once you get there, it's not taking no for an answer and continuing to try, because somebody will say yes. And that's a really interesting approach to do it. Focus on the restaurants, focus on the places where they can see it and say, hey, what is that?
Exactly.
And then they're gonna want to try it out and take it. That's really phenomenal. I think there's a lot of takeaways from our conversation, a lot of things to learn about the process. To me, I love to kind of summarize you, I feel like, as a person with great passion for the industry, as a person that's got the charisma, and as a person that's just a people person.
Thanks.
And is able to keep going even when you're faced with some, rejections, no's, because eventually you're going to get a yes.
There you go.
It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And just for the audience and for everyone, if you can share how people can reach you if somebody wants to bring MiraFlores to their store, restaurant, whatever it is, how do they reach Carlos?
Yeah, definitely. So just go to cocktailsbyc.com and you have all the information there. So pretty simple.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again.
Man, thank you, man.
It's been a
Appreciate
pleasure,
it.
and
Thank
cheers.
you. Thank you.